What do we sound like? What do we sound like? Why am I not being broadcast? What do we sound like? What do we sound like? Hey. Okay. All right. Audio sounds fine. I decided to change the angle just a little bit today, so feel free to ask me whatever, whenever you guys get in here. Just watching a couple of auctions. Actually, I like that one better. Yeah. Hot sauce. You love you hot sauce. You don't have to wait. You can ask me anything anytime, or you can wait and throw in stuff at any time and things and stuff. I'm very, very organized here. We'll be talking about the poll that I put up at some point. There I go, touching my nose again. It's what they call a nervous tick. Hello, Sean. How you doing? Hanging in there, I guess. All right, let me do this. Make everything bigger. Do I have a preferred NFA trust? Well, I set mine up through the store that I was working at the time. You can actually just get the store to set it up, or you can do the one-shot trusts, which a lot of people have been doing through the Silencer Co. Kiosks. One-shot trusts are for each individual firearm, which allows you to put individuals on individual firearms versus having to do a large trust. And we can talk about that a little bit more later too and go into that. But typically you can set that up. You can hire a lawyer just to do your trust as well. You don't have to use any specific trust. You can just kind of find somebody to do your stuff for you. So yeah, trusts are an especially smart thing to do. Trusts allow you to both protect your item as well as allow other people to use your item, but you can actually put other stuff that aren't even NFA items into any trust. Any trust that is legally binding, you can put a house, a car, a boat, any material goods you can place into there. You do have to keep one thing in mind though. The minute you put something into that and you have somebody else on your trust, two things will happen. If you have a regular NFA trust, you're going to have to get full background checks for anybody that wants to be on that trust that isn't a beneficiary or a there's another word for it. Sorry, all of a sudden my brain just stopped. But unless they're going to be a non-active participant in the trust, so they can just be listed as a beneficiary without having to do a background check. But if you have somebody that's going to be able to access the items on the trust, they need to have the same NICS background check. That's why the Silencer Co. single shots make sense for a lot of people, because if I have like my Silencer Co. Osprey and I only want one other person on there, then I just get a single shot, add one person. If I don't want them to access, if I get machine guns or whatever the case may be in the future. So that's what I'm doing there. This is weird because I'm looking up, but I decided to change the angle a little bit. Let's see, Sean, good my man, just got back from Oregon visiting the fam. Nice. Loving the hot sauce bottle. I don't know, here, there, hot, red hot. I put that on everything. But responsible person, yes. A responsible person is anybody that you want to allow to take your item without you being present, so they will also need copies of your NFA letter once you get it. But yeah, responsible person versus beneficiaries. Like I said, beneficiaries can also be your inheritors, like if you want to put your children on right away. And a secondary benefit to doing a NFA trust or just a trust in general is making sure that, let's say you pass before your children come of age for an item, another relative can't just sell your items without going through the trust, and your children, whatever age they may be, will have first right to those items. So when they become 21, let's say they're 9, they obviously can't be a responsible person, but when they become 21, they're given the option to either do the paperwork to become the primary caretaker of the item, or they can allow it to be sold via the trust. So there's two ways of going about it there. It is a double-edged sword though, because anybody you put on the trust, let's say you put your best friend on your trust, right? And you go to jail for something that's a felony and it removes you from your ability to own those class 3 firearms or NFA items, then they will take sole possession of them, and then they will be the ones that can do whatever they want with them. Even though you paid for it, they'll be the owners, and they have no responsibility to give you any sort of monetary compensation when the items sell. So if you do put your friend or family members on a trust, make sure you really do trust them. That's why the single shot makes more sense, especially if you decide to just share one suppressor, not all your firearms. Not much, Richard. What's going on with you, dude? Sorry, long explanation I was going through. A bunch of people already in here. That's cool. I guess I'll just kind of break the egg right now. I wound up buying the NAC9, the AK, even though 75% of you told me not to, because, you know, I'm an idiot, but I'm going to buy the FX9 too. I didn't pay for the FX9 when I did that video. I was debating between the FX9 and the AK9, and I wound up buying the NAC9. So, for all of those that saw that question, woohoo, I'm winning. Sorry, I'm also paying attention to some auctions. I messed up last time and wasn't paying attention to them and lost a lot of cool stuff. So here's hoping that I get these things. Anyway, happy start of the new one, Dave. How you doing, man? Yes, absolutely. I'm actually trying to make some plans for what's coming on in the new year. I was looking around. I couldn't find my dongle for my phone to allow me to run it through my capture, because I was going to set it up and actually do like a real live stream, but I'm going to invest in some equipment, especially if I'm going to do them more often. I want the right equipment for doing that. So, did I see that Smith & Wesson has an SD9 2.0? Are we talking about the ones they released this year, where all they did was add high-vis sights and fiber optic fronts to it? Let me see what they're doing. Let's see. So they're clearancing out their standard ones. Man, they're cheap. I should probably pick up one. Let's see, as we scroll down, is it something new that just got released? Let me know. I've been out of the game. I'm just starting to help Daniel out a little bit more at the other store, but I really hasn't been paying too much attention to some guns unless I've really been wanting them. Alright, so what's different here? It's compact, 22 ounce, 5.5 inch. It looks like they put the Dingus trigger in it. The same slide lock. Dovetailed the sights versus the Glock style. $350, that's not terrible. I'm not a fan of the SD9 with the stainless slides. I prefer the actual original SD9s. Now, they went with the stainless slide on this one. Maybe they'll come out with a different one again. But the SD9 VE, it was the value enhanced one, which gave you the shittier sights. And this looks like it's got a regular set of 3 dots on it. So I don't know if I'll be messing with it too much. Have I seen the trusted claim you can add remove people from the trust at will without notarizing? No, I have not. And I would have to do some research into that, because the federal law changed and NFA items are federally controlled, that any person that's going to be on a class 3 item has to be on the trust and with full background checks and notarization. So unless something has changed since they changed it, I'm not too sure about that one. Martin, watch your vids all the time on YouTube. Shorts are cool too. The lessons are for keyboard warriors. Thank you, man. If you watch the long forms, you'll see that it's a completely different setup, and I freely own that. When I started doing the shorts, and I said this last, if I keep saying I said this last stream, please understand it's because I'm new to streaming stuff. But I did it on purpose because I was running late to drop somebody off or pick somebody up at the airport, and I made a video in a minute, and it exploded. So now I troll people with the shorts. Yay. Let's see. Yes, Aaron, you can ask me anything, but keep it civil. Don't get gross, don't get pedantic. But yeah, you can ask me anything. Cars, tech, life lessons, personal things, whatever. Just, keep it kind of clean, Aaron. Mr. 45, hey, man. Made it to another one. Glad to talk to you again. Hope you win some good stuff tonight. I'm working on it. Let's see. Currently, I'm winning some Pokemon cards. I know, right? Giant freaking nerd. Also, just picked up a few more computers, but I'll have to do a video on those because they're all over there. I'm looking at the Skeezy Scorpion. What do you think of them? I'm looking for the 7-inch barrel with the Evo 3. 7-inch Scorpion. Oh, I'm sorry. Whenever I see the word CZ, my brain automatically goes shadow. I think some of them are worth it. The only thing you have to worry about is mag compatibility because not all Scorpions have interchangeability. I believe the Evo 3 has backwards compatibility, but the older Evos do not have forwards compatibility. Does that make sense? So if you're going to get one, I would suggest an Evo 3 just because I believe that's the way it goes. I believe it's backwards compatibility with the magazines, not forward, because they redesigned them for the Evo 3. How am I liking The Witness? Haven't shot it yet, but it seems pretty cool. It needs a lot of work. I got to polish the rails, do all kinds of stuff with it. Once I do that, then I'll have a actual answer to that. How many? A woodchuck would chuck all the wood that a woodchuck could chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood. How many boards would the Mongols hoard if the Mongol horde got bored? Nice try. SPO1 for $500 has minor mar around the magwell. Is it a good deal? I can tell you that they are discontinuing the standard SPO1. So on websites like my distributors, they're doing a new version of the TAC. I think it's going to be fiber optic front, according to what I'm seeing here. But they have the standard one on closeout. If it's a 4.6-inch one, the MSRP is $949. The street price is going to be like almost $9 if you bought it brand new. And then they do a standard version that's $799 MSRP. So $500 is still a good deal, regardless of what you do. Yes. Silly Sally sells seashells at the seashore. I took eye drops before this. Hopefully that'll help me last a little longer. Last time I did this, man, my eyes were just so dry by the time we were done. I actually have my screen also, the magnification is up to like 175% because, yeah, like you said. Oh, no. Well, you said you were going to. What'd you get for it, if you don't mind my asking? I'm debating getting into some cars this year. I've been looking for a Stealth RT twin turbo. Aaron, that was better than I could do. Good job. It's one of my favorite tongue twisters. I do it all the time. I really like that video you posted with the SBRs. You talking about when I did the FX9 and the CMMG? If so, thank you. 15K. It was a bidder war. That's pretty solid money. Last one I saw sold. Oh, they still got that GS300 6-speed manual Toyota Aristo over at Japanese Classics. But they also just picked up an R32. So I'm getting there. Ooh, they got the Vertex, but that's an auto. We don't want an auto. Autos are for people with, well, I don't have feet either, but you know what I mean. Let's see, they got the 94 Tour. That's pretty cool. Auto. They got 1998 Toyota 11, which is a weird looking car. How is that? Oh, it's front wheel drive, but 6-speed. Okay. It's like a Corolla coupe. Okay. Anyway, sorry. Don't get me locked up into that stuff. Not much, Ocean. What's going on with you? Richard Williams buying a 2005 Lexus, going to turbo it and build the block. The IS300, that's a 1JZ, right? If I'm not mistaken. Or is that a 2J without the turbo? Either way, that'll be a fun car to build. Go back. Go back. Come on. Go back, you man. Yes, cool. I got 100 Pokemon cards, including holos, for $24. I'm happy there. I'm also bidding on a bunch of other stupid shit. Like an old Craftsman OBD2 scan tool with the bag and stuff. We'll see how that goes. You can never have too many tools. So it is the 2JZ. Okay. Because the old SC300 had the 1JZ, so I wasn't sure if they kept using the 1JZ and then they kept the 2Js for the GS series, but that's cool. Yeah, because the GEs are just the GTE without the turbo. what are your thoughts on Jaeger and the collector channels? Well, isn't Jaeger dead? I haven't seen anything about him. The collector, I like his collection. I like his indoor range, right? I will say that he comes off as pretentious because all of his titles say, this is my $10,000 sniper rifle or my $400,000 shooting range or my this or my that or my $1,000,000 garage. I really don't like watching people that put that kind of crap in their titles because they're just flexing at that point. Demo Ranch flexes the shit out of his stuff, but he doesn't put that in every title. Every title of the collector is my $150,000 John Wick safe. Nobody cares how much it costs because we can't afford it. So just show us the cool stuff. Don't be narcissistic and showing off. We see you have an entire house that's a gun room. We know you have money. Just show the guns. I don't care if your Cabot collection is $120,000 a year. I could give a crap. I just want to see the guns. And if you have to live by your dollar sign, I mean, it's why he isn't bigger than he should be. If he'd stop putting prices in his titles, he'd probably go up in popularity. They do have access to some dope tech. But, like I said, I'm pretty sure James Jaeger is... I'm thinking of James Jaeger, not Jagger. I don't know who Jagger is. I probably have seen his channel, but I don't pay any attention to it. What's up, DB? 1JZ GTE is an amazing engine, can take 800 stocks. Stock on stock internals. Yeah, a lot of those can, but here's the thing. It's impressive, but almost expected from the Japanese stuff. It's cool to find an American engine that can take a lot of power, like the 32 valve 4.6s that Ford used for a long time, the Texid blocks. Texid, Teksid, could handle 1,000 horsepower on a stock block, which was pretty impressive. Not heads. Let's see. DB, no apologies necessary, dude. It's still sitting there if you wanted to call down there or call up there since you're in Florida. Just give him a call sometime. I'm going to be helping out maybe one day a week. Help pay for guns. Ocean Dude, what's your thoughts on Kentucky Ballistics comedy videos? I enjoy them. He does a lot of silly stuff, like when he shoots the pudding and he shoots the eggplants and stuff like that. His skits in the beginning, he obviously took that from earlier Demo Ranch stuff, because Demo Ranch liked to do mostly comedy skits in the beginning of his videos, so I understand why he did them. But yeah, you don't have to be that consistent with the silly. Matt Carricker isn't always that silly, but I enjoy them when he does the good ones. And then when he teams up with that one dude that lets him shoot him with stuff, all of a sudden I can't remember his name. But yeah, that one guy that gets shot with like the air cannon and stuff. Oh, we got 40 minutes on that stuff. I don't know why I'm bidding on some of this stuff. It sells. It sells. Let's see. How was the shop busy? It was really busy on Friday. Saturday was pretty much, I wasn't there, but they were a lot less busy. And then Monday, holy crap, Monday was just a ghost town. Ford 2.3 turbo blocks from the SVOs would take a lot of power, 600 to 700, 800 out. Okay. I know they were good blocks. The SVOs were good ones. I used to have the old Ford Thunderbird Super Coupe, not Turbo Coupe, excuse me, before the Super Coupe. The Turbo Coupes, they had the same engine as the SVOs, and I knew those could take some power. You see me as a GTR driver. I'm a GTR driver from the R34 and older line. I'm of the opinion, my Mustang was a manual, my Camaros were manuals. Anything I could get in a manual, I would, because I believe it doesn't matter if you shave 1/100th of a second off of your shift. I don't care if it's faster off the line. I prefer to be able to control my own revs in daily driving situations. It gets a little old when you commute 50 miles every day and there were tons of stoplights, but I prefer to shift myself. So yeah, a good R34 with the manual, or that Toyota Aristo with the 6-speed manual would be a good one. Tools and Targets got a good channel. Never checked them out. I guess I will. Been chilly down here. Twin turbo's been spooling nice and chirping. Well, that's fun. It's been a little bit on the cold side. It's slurried, which is more of a slushy flurry. up here for a little while, but like today it was in the 40s ish, I think. Did I go outside today? Yes, I did. I did. I went up to see my buddy and gave him his Game Boy. Well, didn't give it to him, but he also gave me a little laptop that I can screw with. It's an old Samsung that I'm going to be messing with. I like old tech. I like seeing if it can do anything nowadays. Ooh, should I buy a New York Mets Wilmer Flores autographed jersey? It's only got 3 seconds left. I'm not going to snipe that. Villager11, I'm coming back to the U.S. as a tourist next month. What gun should rent shoot when I get to the range? Depending on where you go, I would try to at least shoot a race gun, something like a really nice high-end like TS Orange from CZ, a 2011, a Bull Armory, although you have Bull Armories in Europe. If you're looking for a rifle, anything big, go big, then go home. If you can get your hands on a Barrett, shoot one of those. In terms of just shooting guns, if they have a DWX, that would be a fun one to shoot, but there's not a whole lot that I would like say you have to shoot. Just get some shooting fun, but don't go with the 22 as your only gun. If you have a choice, shoot one, but then shoot a bunch of other stuff. Dylan Chalmers, your 2016 Silverado 1500 view video has used by. Yeah, see, that was the thing. When I was still selling cars, I switched from Vine to long form. So I was doing a video game pickup in the morning, a car review during the day, and then sometimes I would do another video game pickup at night because I would buy stuff while I was at work. And the car videos actually were getting decent views right from the jump. Like my Corvette Stingray versus ZR or base model had a lot of views, and a lot of my car videos got a lot of views. But the problem is, after 2017, when I left the business, I didn't have the same access to cars, and then I was down for 2 years physically, so I couldn't do it. And my buddy said I could film his stuff again, but by then I had gotten so heavy into the guns that the cars just have never come back to the channel. I'd like to start doing it again. I think the last one I actually did at my buddy's dealership was when the new Ford Escapes came out. The ones that were built on the same platform that the Bronco Sports are built on. So I haven't really messed with cars since then. I want to. I'm looking at other cars. I almost bought an Intrepid RT, the old body style 2000 to 2004. I almost bought one of those just because I wanted one. I miss the 3.5 engine. They're easy to build. Domestic tourist. Don't doubt my abilities to go home quick. That's funny. Green Top Shooting Range in Richmond. They got lots of stuff. Ocean Dude, when your channel blows up in popularity, would you still be the same calm, cool dude? Few of the channels I've watched since day one went right or way left from their OG stuff. Yeah, like I said, I used to make 6 figures. I used to have anything I wanted, and it never really changed who I was. So if I got back to a level where I could make money doing this, I still wouldn't change who I am. It doesn't really matter to me. I'm still a schmuck. I'm still the same dumb dork I am. Like I said, I'm just branching out and trying new stuff as we're going into 2024 with the live streams and some other stuff that I'm planning on working on that I can't show you. I was going to put the NAC 9 up on the wall, but I was worried that YouTube might get mad at that. That was going to be my background. For those of you that are latecomers, if you voted on the poll whether I should buy the NAC 9 or the Freedom Ordnance FX9, I want to buy the NAC 9 AK9 because I don't own an AK9 until now. Also found my extra braces. Apparently the boat came up from the bottom of the lake. You'd love the Ram TRX truck too, just standing next to it and seeing the interior. I've spent some time with one. There was one at Dulles when I was buying my Ram Laramie, and my truck was $40,000 and the TRX was $105,000. So I'd love to get my hands on one, but I've had fast cars and trucks before as well, just not recently. Yeah, same here. Was heavy into cars, kind of faded away since about 18. Yeah, well, you know. And then, of course, with current market prices, I mean, in my area in Northern Virginia, Dodge Intrepids, I started looking for one. I found a couple that had some body damage for like $1,500, but everybody else wants like $3,000 for a running driving Intrepid, and I will not buy one with the 2.7. I'll only buy one with the 3.5, which is the later SXTs and the RTs. And I want the RT because, again, the 3.5, it's a timing belt, not a timing chain. It doesn't have 4 cams. It's way easier to work on. So, yeah, if I can find one, I will. And they're stock 250 horse, but with some little bit of tweaking, you can actually make them closer to like 280. Villager, last time I went with a Daniel Defense AR-15, a 1911 CZ Shadow 2, and Ruger 22. Did you choose well? Visiting from Great Britain. Yes, every one of those guns are guns I have, and I highly recommend to anybody that wants to shoot because they're at the top of the class for what they are. You know, if you want to have a good shooting experience, shoot something good. Once you're familiar with guns or you can have fun with guns, then buy the cheap crap. When I buy a $40 Jennings, it's because I have expensive guns, so it's more fun to screw around with a Jennings Witness 380 or a High Point Yeet Cannon or things like that. So yeah, I absolutely go with what the best you can and then work your way down once you're familiar. That's what I say. You've been more frugal with cash flow. You got 15K burning a hole in your pocket. I've got a 2021 Challenger Scat Pack if you need one. It's more than 15K, but also, what's good for a tourist to do or see in northern VA? Baltimore? VA. Northern VA. Well, obviously visiting some of the museums that show, like, our culture on this side of the pond. Go to the Smithsonian. If you like guns, there's HK has their gray room in Chantilly. I think you can arrange a visit, but I think they also have visitor days. Like I said, it's H&K's gray room. I know that they're in Europe, but you're in Great Britain, so it's technically quite a bit away. People like to think of Europe as just, you can just hop in a car and go everywhere. But HK's gray room is in Chantilly, Virginia. If you're in Winchester, if you're in the Winchester area, you can go over to Taylor's and Company. They do like really high-end recreations of like Sharps 4570s, but they also do custom 3030s. They do all kinds of cool stuff. I would definitely go to the Walking Mall for DC and do the Walking Mall, see all the memorials, things like that. And go to Happy Pig in Chantilly. You driving in a GTR with an SBR. You know, what's funny is back in 2010, I had a body shop back in Minnesota, and this rich Asian kid kept bringing me cars. And I did a 760L in flat black, and then I did his GTR in flat black, which was really fun to do because, you know, it's back then they were super high-end cars, and you have to panic every time you do something because we were doing matte clear at my body shop, and it was probably one of the more nerve-wracking things you could do in Minnesota because you get a lot of moisture and a lot of rain and snow, so matte clears suck to maintain because you can't wax them, and you have to wash them like 3 times a week. So you're used to the insane amount of speed then, the Corvette ZR1s, especially ones modded by late model Racecraft. It's crazy fast. Also the Ligenfelter stuff, even after he died, Ligenfelter did a lot of cool stuff. I drove a ZR1 that had like 900 horsepower once. Obviously, I haven't had any time in a Viper, which I really want to, but I'm a little too tall for the hardtop ones. But yeah, my Mustang was decent, exhaust, all that stuff. My race car was about 600 horsepower, and probably the most powerful thing I drove was a supercharged Chevelle. Had like 1100 horsepower, but I only got to drive that a little bit. Villager, thank you very much. You're very welcome. Glock in the Rari. I would never deface a Ferrari with a Glock. I'd have to carry something weird. I'd have to have like a Viz Radom pistol, something old school, just to really mess with people. Ocean Dude, I have a few 1022s. I was thinking of getting a 22 conversion kit for one of my AR-15s. Any thoughts? And if so, what conversion company? Bam, CMMG. They make a complete kit. It's like $230. You get the bolt carrier group and magazines, so you don't have to change anything else. So you just change your bolt carrier group and your magazines, literally everything you need in the package. 2 25 rounders and a bolt carrier group for $230. It's made by CMMGs. You know they make good rifles. They make great conversion kits, and yeah, drop in, literally drop in. ZR1 Sledgehammer, that was a cool one. Viper versus Super Snake. I sold the kicker for the Washington Redskins back when they were still the Redskins. Hold on. What was his name? Yeah, Sav Roca. If you guys remember Sav Roca, he used to kick for the Redskins when they were still the Redskins. I sold him an Explorer for his wife, and I tried to buy his Super Snake, but he wouldn't sell it because he brought it over here from Australia, and apparently in Australia those cars are insanely expensive. We offered him like 85,000 for his Super Snake, and he said he could take it back to Australia and sell it for 300 grand. What was funny is he traded in a busted up Highlander with the salvage title that he put his wife in, but he drove a Super Snake. I also met what was his name? One of the captains from the Time Bandit, because he lives in Ashburn, Virginia, when he's not filming Deadliest Catch. And it was funny because I didn't recognize him, and then I didn't treat him with any reverence, so I think he got offended. He seemed like a down-to-earth guy, but when I refused to like suck his ass, he got mad and left. Let's see. Dave, SBR 300 Blackout Suppressed is nice. Yep, I'm working on that build. Villager 11. Any opinion on British cars? Any favorites or any you particularly dislike? Well, my father was a big MG guy, so I'd like to find him a new MG or a replacement MG. There aren't a lot of British cars that really do anything for me. Like Land Rover, Range Rover, Jaguar, all those companies are owned by an Indian company, Tanto, or whatever it is. And Range Rovers and Land Rovers and Jaguars in the United States don't hold their value. You can get a Range Rover that's like 4 years old for 30% of its original MSRP. So I don't like working on them. They overcomplicate their cars the way Japanese do. I prefer a car where every module is separate, but that's just me. Sympathizer, how do you feel about cheap SRO sites? I don't mind them as long as you don't, try to justify them. My buddy runs the Seymour site, the STR2, which is the same height as an SRO, and he loves it, and it's like $200 cheaper than an SRO, and it works just as good. I just don't like when I see people putting a cheaper one on their gun and then saying, "Oh, I would have put a more expensive one on," but no, don't be ashamed of what you got. The Seymour is almost as good. He uses it in competition, and like I said, he's a ranked shooter, so it must be doing its job well. Dylan, what causes a pistol to explode or jam up? Wrong round in the gun. There are a lot of rounds that can fit into a gun but can cause problems. We had one at our shop where somebody inadvertently put a 300 Blackout into a 5.56 and somehow managed to get it closed enough to fire it, and it exploded the gun. Jams are typically feed issues, dirty ramps, wrong type of ammunition. A lot of guns, especially like 22s, rimfires, Rugers, things like that, are very particular on the kind of ammo they'll feed. But explosions are typically ammo deficiencies or detriments or defects. Overpressured cartridges like Kentucky Ballistics suffered. I think I'm really tired because I'm dropping a lot of words here. I didn't eat much today. I had some pizza though. It was really good. 2A is absolute. What's up, man? Is that gun lube in the bottle on the computer? Which gun lube? This? Well, it's hot sauce. I could lube a gun with it once. But otherwise, I think there's some eye drops up there. Wait, I can actually see it there. Nope. Peanut butter or chocolate? I'm allergic to peanut butter, but I'll eat it. Ranch or blue cheese? Ranch. Villager, the Land Rover, the Defender. Yes, I agree. The more basic cars, that's a good one. A guy down the road from me has a Land Rover 110. Simply easy to work on. Has been holding value well since it was discontinued. Yep. What about a bad batch of ammo? Yes, Dylan, absolutely a bad batch of ammo can be a problem. We've seen ammo that people have brought back, especially during COVID time. There's been a lot of manufacturing problems, and a guy brought in a bunch of 308 that wasn't seated right. The crimps were wrong. Some of the rounds were pushed too far into the casings. Some of them you could just pull out of the casings. So yeah, there is always a possibility of an entire batch being bad. Ocean Dude, I thought it was Tato. Yeah, who the hell is Tanto? Tanto is a knife, isn't it? I don't know. But Tata, yes. That owned Land Rovers. DB Bro, keep your 50 Shades of Grey at home. Oh, okay, yeah. Viper was sex on wheels, but I think I enjoyed the Super Snake more. What year was the Super Snake? Because I don't care for the '05 to '09 body style, and I didn't care for the Super Snake that came out in that body. Villager 11, Ocean Dude, yes, Tata do own Jaguar. Yes, Tata. Yeah, well, it's because they started buying up companies from companies that were previously owned by Americans. Ford owned Jaguar for the longest time, which is why a lot of their cars shared a lot of components. And it's funny because Ian McCallum and his brother both were working for Jaguar and Ford at the same time. That's why the Ford Fusion in 2013 looks so much like a Aston Martin, because his brother was the head designer for Aston Martin for a long time. But there are so many overlaps in the late 90s between Ford and Jag cars. It's kind of almost funny. Just off the top of my head, the X-Type was just a Ford or not an Escort. Was it the Escort here? But over there they called it the Ford Mondeo, but an all-wheel drive. The S-Type was shared with the same platform as the Lincoln LS and the Ford Thunderbird when it was released over here. There's tons of control switches in the XK and the XG or XJs that were shared with those. I believe even early editions of the DB9 had Ford parts in them, like some of the internal electricals. So yeah, I think it's much better off having Tata as the owner. Even though they are the manufacturer of one of the cheapest cars in the world, I do think they're a better owner for the company. My neighbor across the street has a 2015 Challenger Scat Pack straight pipe. That thing is loud, and it's got a big cam in it too. Yeah, that would be kind of, wait, did you say 2016 Shelby Super Snake? I just went to the website. Apparently, they were selling the kit for $37,000. Sorry, I was working for Ford back then, so I knew that Ford didn't do it, so it was just the Shelby production got it. Tata makes really good Indian big rigs, but shit SUVs and sedans. Villager, my brother was a Ford salesman and got to drive the Aston Martin. He said the Aston was the nicest Ford Mondeo that he ever drove because they were so similar. That's kind of funny. Demon Ninja, what's up, man? Anthony, hello, how are you doing? Oh, very good. You think that Ford went a bit dumb when they made the Mustang SUV? Yeah, but the thing is, it's the name. They just wanted to use the name to drum up more sales. It's like calling their top of the line or one of the top of the lines the Mach E. It's Mach E, Mockey, to call it the Mach because it ruins it. Let's see. Did I win anything else? I'm a multitasker. I can whistle discs. I don't know why. On a positive note, my dad's almost done with his collection. He's gotten just about every variant of COVID, even though he's had all his shots. Anthony, I have a question, sire. Yes, go for it, man. Yeah, towards, yeah. Well, again, they're just using the badge and the name because technically that platform is gone. I think they're using a different platform. I think they're using the Fusion platform for it because the Taurus and the Explorer from 2011 to 2017 when they came out, the rear wheel drive one and the Edge were the only ones that used the Taurus platform, and they're all gone now. So yeah, it was the same way with like companies producing cars and just calling whatever in other countries for years afterwards. It's just not the US design one. Where's my question, man? Where's my question? Dave, am I Italian on my dad's side? Yes, that's where the name and the family comes from, Pecoraro. We are from Sicily. Not straight up Italy, but from Sicily, which is completely different. And the family name back in the early 1600s was Shepherd, because you were named by what you did back in the day. Shepherd, cobbler, masturbator, whatever the name was, you were named after what you did. So we were called Shepherds, but then as time moved on and Sicilian names needed to sound more Italiano, they changed it to Pecoraro. Amazing Pecoraro East Coast presence, though. There's a place in New York, I don't know if it's still there, but it was called the Pecoraro Building, and apparently my dad looked like the owner, because when I was a kid, we went in there, and the lady behind the counter was like, "Oh, sir, why are you wearing a uniform?" Because my dad looked just like the owner. Dost thou know thy meaning of life? 42. A guess if you drive a Ford Taurus, one could carry a Taurus 9mm. And it could be a 3-letter gun too, because if you drive a Taurus SHO, you can carry a G3C. By the way, that's how you're supposed to pronounce SHO, not show. Although they did relent and say you could call it that, but that's not what it stood for. Quick, somebody tell me what SHO stood for. All right, Dave. Did I say it out loud, or were you at the store one day when I was saying it? Because you're freaking me out, son. Voodoo! I like shepherd pie. Never had a real shepherd's pie. I've had the Americanized version. What, the Voodoo engine drops valves? Maybe if you're missing a shift and over revving the shit out of them, but I've never heard of a Voodoo dropping it. I've heard of them eating their oil seals. When we were first selling the Voodoo in the, I'm assuming you're talking about the Voodoo that came out in the 350s. We had 4 of them come back right away because they blew out their rear seals like immediately after being assembled. So we had 4 Shelby 350s on the lot that were just dumping oil every time they started. You know, Bruce, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You had the white one, the gray one, and 2 blue ones come back in the first year. They were dumping oil. Super him output. Yeah. Super him output. That's a good one. I should call it that. My buddy Daniel has an SHO that we actually found for him. Hey, Bruce, tell what's his name that the APIM blew out on Daniel's SHO again. He'll need another one. Escort Cosworth is your dream car. Those were awesome. So how you doing, Bruce? How's the kid? Kid doing good? I'm just kidding. I know it's probably out of warranty, but if you can ask him, ask Jeff how much it'll cost for a new one, because I'm going to put it in as a gift for him. But yeah, it blew out. I think the circuit board is bad. Cottage pie is beef, shepherd's pie is lamb. I probably had a good cottage pie, but I don't think I've ever had a shepherd's pie. Yeah. Chat, what is your dream car? Only one choice. Mine is a 1977 Porsche 911. That's a good choice. I'd go with that. That's a good one. What do I think of the C8 Z06? I think that the car is ugly as sin, but it's an amazing driving car from everything I've seen. I've never driven a C8. I've only driven the C7 Z06 and the C6 ZR1. So Hellcat Pro for concealed carry versus a Glock 19. It's thinner. Optics cut right out of the box for a cheaper price. They're like what, 540 versus 620. Thinner profile, same capacity. The trigger's better in the Glock, to be honest with you, but the sights that you get out of the box for the Hellcat are better, in my opinion. Ocean Dude, what's your thought on Ford going back to old technology such as push rods with the gas 6.8 and gas 7.3? The reason why they're doing that is simplicity, also for serviceability for commercial contracts. It's a good idea. My Hemi is a push rod engine, single cam in the middle. It's very capable, makes plenty of power. Extra cams, variable intake, all that crap only really matters if you have something that can rev and take advantage of it. Push rods are very good. I mean, the Viper was getting 640 horsepower out of theirs, but by the end, and that was based on a truck block. So I believe that it's a good idea, and I also believe they did it for serviceability as well as expense for commercial trucks, because then they could drop the price of their commercial trucks underneath the Chevrolet ones, which have nightmare timing chain issues when they get overrun in commercial use. I've seen so many, especially the V6s, where they just gunk up and die. Let's see. DD, I still want a Crown Vic, dual spotlights, push bar, black windows. I've had so many Crown Vics. That was one thing we could always buy from the Chicago auctions when we were in Minnesota. We'd buy Crown Vics and Chevy Caprices, like out the wazoo. I even drove a old former state trooper Crown Vic forever. It looked like a Louis Vuitton bag because Illinois, it was either Illinois or Indiana, they used the brown and dark brown. Dave, how about the NSX from the 90s? Love that car. Had a lot of input from Ayrton Senna, and it was a very reasonable car when it was new. Nowadays, they're not as reasonable as they used to be. So, yeah, what's a good one? Like 60 grand now, 65 grand. So they're a little overpriced, but they were a really nice, high revving, naturally aspirated engine. If you want a very similar engine, find an old Acura Legend with the 6-speed manual, and you basically have the NSX's drive train with the billet and everything, with the better heads and the 6-speed manual. If you can find one of those, man, those things are like 15, 20 grand now. Or Mitsubishi 3000 GT. I like the lines of the Stealth better. The 3000 GT, the rear C pillar, or A pillar, B pillar, technically B pillar, kind of comes down more of a traditional style, whereas the Stealth, it comes all the way back, makes the cars look a little bit sleeker. 300Z was slick back in the day. Yep. Yeah. Have you seen the Ford versus Ferrari movie? Yep, I have it on my Amazon purchase list. I love that movie. I appreciate Matt Damon's acting, but I also appreciate a lot of the things they did in the movie, which were very accurate. Although they didn't really go into the lore, because Car and Driver did a interview in the 90s, right? Where they went and found a guy named Ken Miles in Wisconsin who had the same accent and the same tattoos as Ken Miles. So there was speculation for years that he actually didn't die in the crash, and they just wanted to hide him, or he was done with the spotlight after he got screwed over at Le Mans. So, yeah, I do like Ford versus Ferrari. Your best bud had a Conquest. One of my buddies currently has 2 Conquests and a Stereon. If you buy one in Florida, it can't be two-tone trooper colors. Well, I can understand that. A lot of times you'd have to change the color. And then you guys also had Jeremy Dumwit, which he was famous all over YouTube for making all his funeral guard vehicles look like they were state trooper cars. So, yeah. The way the ass end squats when you drive and shift gears. Are you talking about the old ones or the new ones, man? What else do we talk about today? Anything fun happening in the gun world? That's me. I'm your live newscaster. That's right, live newscaster. Today, gun news. Gun news. Let's see if I can rip off anybody. I won't actually name anybody unless I read the entire article. Hundreds rally at Maine State House for stricter gun laws. except for the fact that it was the U.S. military that didn't prevent him from killing somebody, you know, one of the most regulated forces in the world. Look at that. Louisville's 2023 homicide total is down, but gun violence persists. Gun control debate. Lawmakers return. Yeah, family whose son died in an accidental shooting. Let's see. Was it? Let's see. While hanging out at a friend's house in Connecticut, the kid was shot. Could it have been the fault of the person that owned the firearm? The family that let this kid have access to a firearm when he was a child without training? I don't care if I'm going to lose people over a political thing, but yeah, you can't do that. I'm sorry. I'm tired of that shit. It's the person, not the item. You can kill somebody with a spork if you really want to. The old Z, the 300 got it. Mr. Glock died, right? Not fun, but notable. Yeah, he did. We kind of brought it up last time. He was very aged, so it's not like he died unexpectedly. They knew he was dying. He really didn't have as much innovation input as he did when he was a little bit younger. And I believe that it's going to lead to hopefully more expressive guns down the line, because the two most recent guns they released were the Glock 49, which is just a Glock 47 with a 19 frame, and then the Glock 25, which is just a larger 380. Neither of those guns are innovative, interesting, or even should be on the U.S. market. So hopefully they'll do something funner. And even if it's just little things, changing the box a little bit. You can modify a Glock and still have it work in every Glock holster, so it's not like you'd be abandoning your principles. Keep the functionality of the Glock, but make it look a little bit better. That's why 1911s have persisted for so long. Even the classics had a look to them, and the modern ones look great. Visually, if you put a Gen 1 Glock up against a Gen 5 and showed it to any random person who isn't into guns, they'd never be able to tell you the difference, and that's a problem. Even the Corollas look different now. Way behind now. Thoughts on green tips? Well, it's the only thing I keep in the house. They're 100% legal. There is a massive chance of overpenetration if you use them, but because it's a heavier round and typically 62 to 70, they do produce a pretty good wound cavity. But if you're carrying one, like if you have a pistol in the car, I wouldn't recommend them. What's the highest number Glock made? I believe the 19. As far as I know it's the best-selling personal carry Glock, but I'm not 100% sure if it's actually the most produced Glock in the world, because again, I don't care. I've got them. I just don't like them. Herrera for Congress. I can only handle Brandon Herrera in small doses anymore, because he's very one-dimensional. He doesn't have a gravitas. He's basically a 28-year-old Trump, in my opinion. He sticks to what he says, he means what he says, he does what he says he's going to do, but at the end of the day, he's like a sheet of paper. You turn him around, there's nothing there. There's no substance. He's fun to watch, but he's commie guns are good guns, cursed gun images, memes. I don't watch them at all anymore. Sorry. Let's see. Glock, Gaston Glock was a shovel maker, so I think if you're meaning that he made shovels to shovel shit. Ocean Dude, Spork, showing your age. Yeah, a little bit. You want a Glock 50? You can get a 50 GI. I think they're built on the Glock 21s. Do you think Glock will reach Glock 80? Yes, because, well, basically it's been since 1983, so it's been 40 years, and they've done 49 releases, or 49 patent, or 49 designs. So I believe they'll reach 80, because they're too big a company to just go away. Well, the highest numeral is 49, which is what they released this year. All it is, it's their, I don't know if it's their internal thing because it's not a patent and it's not a trademark. Those are completely different things. There's no such thing in this modern day of a 2-digit patent number. But the Glock 49 is the 49th release from Glock. Roy K. Oh, yeah. Roy K. PX9. Do you have one? No. I shot one. They shoot fine. I put my suppressor on one and it ran it well. But no, I don't own one currently. I'm waiting for a fire sale on one. Dave, thoughts on using different caliber barrels on existing Glock platforms? Example like Glock 21s and conversion barrels to 10 mil. I'm fine with that. I don't mind that at all. I've got the Rock Island 9mm 22 TCM. I think, especially if you have a gun that's on the roster in California, New York, all those places where it's super hard to get multiple guns, it's actually a good idea, especially since Glock, the slide is absolutely the same. The frames are the same. It's just your barrel basically and your magazine in some instances. It's perfectly fine to mix and match barrels, especially if they're quality barrels. They don't have to just be from Glock, but yeah, if you get the full conversion kit, why not? SIG had been doing it for years. The 229 is available, what, in 357.40 or 940, whatever it is. I'm cool with that. Do it. For a lot of people, it's their only option to get multiple guns. Ew, villager. I did not know that. That's gross. Well, at least now we know how he died. Anthony, the Glock company still does sell premium racehorse sperm. You'd think with all that money, they'd invest it in better guns. 82 Schoolboy, do you have a go-to recommended 9mm defensive ammo? Hornady. I use Hornady Critical Duty in my 9mm when I carry them. I have Hornady Critical Defense in my 45 right now, which is sitting on top of my safe. Yeah, Glocks are the AR of the Austrian world. Glocks are Legos for grown-ups. Let's see, did I win? Ooh, please tell me I won the Hot Wheels. Did I win the Hot Wheels? I'm still winning. 48 seconds. Some motherfather frickin' bid against me, you motherfather. I like Hot Wheels. This a-hole keeps on bidding, though. I'm not going to keep bidding. It's 10 of the exact same one, but they're worth like $7 a piece. Rock Island Ultra Pro Match versus Stealth Arms Platypus, which is a better value in your eyes? That's an interesting question. I believe the Pro Match is less. So you guys make me, oh, no, not Inspect Element, but you guys make me keep one of my distributors up on my computer when I do these live streams. Allows me to look up stuff. MSRP for the Ultra Match or Ultra Pro Match is $1,100, whereas the Platypus is $15 to start. The Platypus is lighter for sure, but I would probably say that I would, in the long term, prefer the Rock Island because it's more traditional 2011 lower, whereas the Platypus uses Glock. SIG, Glock, Glock, SIG, SIG, Glock, 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 because the Oracle is the one that uses the SIG mags, yes. Oh. Thoughts on Caltech? They're interesting. They come up with great ideas. The actual released item typically has problems in the first release, but they eventually get it right. The RDB and RFBs are pretty good examples. The forward ejecting 308, and then they came out with the bottom ejecting ones, compensated for the original releases, which sucked. Anthony, for legal reasons, it's better to go to your local police station and ask what ammo they use. That's not really. That's actually not advice I would give to anybody. Because here's the thing: somebody walking into a police station and asking what ammo you should use for self-defense because you're worried about getting in trouble when you eventually shoot somebody, puts you onto police radars. Number one, just Google, because there are government documents for every state that tell you what ammo is and isn't allowed. Some states do not allow hollow points, but in states that allow hollow points, just go with the well-known brand. I would not carry exactly what police carry, because you can be perceived as wanting to mete out justice, wanting to be a vigilante, somebody that's looking to cause a problem just so they get to kill somebody. Masab Ayub did a great video on that. It's also the kind of people that drive a Crown Vic that still has all of its state trooper color design. Like here, they're blue and silver. So if somebody's driving a retired blue and silver Crown Vic, and you're carrying a Glock 17 loaded with the exact same rounds that a police officer carries, then they will infer or try to imply in court that you are trying to imitate law enforcement, which is actually a bad thing because it gives them more ammo against you. And that's what I tell everybody. Don't just, it's the same thing as asking the ATF if you can do something. Don't ask the ATF. There are plenty of sources for information, including their website. But if you call with an unregistered machine gun that your grandfather had up in his attic for 50 years and say, hey, can I have this? And you give them the serial number, they're just going to tell you no and come take it. You need to do your research and figure out how to make it legal and not ask the agency that is going to be prosecuting or persecuting you in the future. Ocean Dude was thinking about getting a Glock 17L, long barrel, good investor. Do you have any suggestions for a long barrel semi-automatic? No, that's a good one. If you want something with a slightly longer barrel, obviously the 34, a Canik SFX, HK does their long slide stuff. There's the, they don't do it anymore, but they had the FN 509 LS Edge, which was a long slide. But there aren't many that go as long as the 17L or the 34 and a 9mm without being custom guns. Gerson 2311, yep, that's what I got. Let's see, history. Any tips for somebody who is looking to build a cheap gaming PC? Throw me a number, because I've got different answers for a lot of stuff. What do you define as cheap? Steel or polymer frame guns? I prefer steel frame guns. I carry a 1911 double stack right now, and the guns I don't sell quickly typically are steel framed. Nothing wrong with the polymer ones. It's just I don't like polymer guns. They're typically too small for me. And then the ones that I do like, they either have a dumbass trigger in them or just something that, because you can't change as many parts on a polymer frame, makes it harder to adjust to my liking. Anthony, I see that is what I have heard a few times before. Yeah, a lot of people will spout that, but another good source, go to Paul Harrell, Paulharrell. He's on YouTube, and he does a great EDC video, and he'll tell you the same thing. Don't carry what the cops carry. Don't dress like a cop. And yeah, I would just try to find information in your area without using the agencies. Let's see. Roy K, you replace a poly recoil spring with stainless when you can. You ever see any issues with? No, all my guns have replacement steel ones when they're available. My Glocks for sure, my CZ, my SIGs, pretty much anything that I can get a steel or tungsten guide rod with steel spring, I will. As long as it's the right spring rate, you're fine. And as long as it's designed for your gun, although you can use non-standard stuff because it's just a stick of metal. So as long as it fits and seats up against the barrel right, you could pretty much use whatever you want. But yeah, just make sure you get one made for your gun to start. Which SBR did I like, the $1,700 or the $800 one from the video? Well, they're pistols because they're just braced. I haven't done paperwork yet. But I would always go with the CMMG over any of the lower end ones when I have the choice, simply because of the delayed blowback system they have. It's very similar to an HK MP5 or SP5, and it's a little bit lighter shooting, easier to shoot. It's more expensive, but they put much better parts in them from the get-go. You can spend $800 on one and then put another $800 in it and make it as good as a CMMG, but the CMMG Banshee already had 45-degree ambidextrous safeties. It had an enhanced mag release and bolt release, and it feels better. You know what I mean? Impersonating a cop, had somebody get knocked off last week for it. Yeah, impersonation of a police officer, and they will try to get you with that, even if you're just carrying the same loads in the same gun. It's a felony. instant felony, even if they just say you're impersonating a cop with no violence. Your American girlfriend was going to buy you a gun to keep and shoot at her ranch. I asked her not to because I was worried about buying on my behalf being legal. As a dealer, what are the rules? Okay, here are the rules. If you are legally allowed to buy a firearm, you have to do the paperwork. Now, let's go over gifting and purchasing. In the state of Virginia, where I am, a married couple, the husband or wife can buy a firearm and they both have equal rights to access to that firearm. In my state, Google your state. It's called expectation of accessibility. So a wife can buy one for her husband, things like that. In my state, again, we're talking Virginia, you can gift a firearm to somebody else in your family. Mother, father, son, daughter, grandmother, the grandson. In the immediate family, you can gift one as long as no money changes hands. The minute somebody who cannot legally buy a firearm pays somebody else to buy them a firearm, that becomes a straw purchase. Then it becomes illegal. I've had to send people away before because one guy came in and he flat out said that his buddy had already bought a gun, so he's buying a gun because his buddy couldn't buy another gun yet. When you're doing that, you are circumventing the one gun a month law in the state of Virginia without a concealed carry, and thus committing a straw purchase. Anytime you provide a firearm to somebody who cannot legally buy a firearm, it becomes a problem. However, if she just buys a firearm, keeps it at her property, and you shoot it when you're there and it's hers, that's something completely different. Because I can let any of my friends that are not felons shoot my guns, and I don't have to care. You don't go in and say, hey, look, I'm going to buy the gun and keep it at her place. That's when you have the problem. Or she's going to buy the gun because I can't keep it at her place. Then you are committing a straw purchase. You're heading out. Ocean Dude, thanks for coming, dude. I don't even know how long I've been going. Only an hour. Come on, dude. We went 4 hours on Sunday. The legality I was worried about, I'm not the U.S. citizen or resident. Yeah, exactly. That's the only thing I would keep in mind. She can own a firearm that you shoot at any time. That's fine. But she cannot buy it and specifically say it's your gun. If she buys a gun that you use, that's up to her. But she cannot buy you a firearm and say that it's for her. You are very welcome, villager. Did I win? Yay! Woo, new tripod, yay. All right. Yeah, for one term, we flipped. And the government at that time instituted red flag laws. If you don't have a concealed carry, you can only buy one handgun per month. You can buy as many long guns as you want, as well as no more private sales. Up until we had that. Now, when Youngkin came in, he flipped it back over, but and took a lot of those rules back off the books. A lot of the proposed rules were dismissed. But now that we're back here, he was able to put a stop to them. But yeah, we still have the red flag laws. So if somebody calls the cops, they will do a quick evaluation. If they decide you're a danger to yourself or others, you can have your firearms removed from your person as well as be transported to a mental health facility. Yes, if you don't have a concealed carry permit in the state of Virginia, you can only buy one handgun every 31 days. A concealed handgun bypasses that because you've obviously done an enhanced background check. You can no longer do an online course for your concealed carry, so you can't do like the Colorado non-resident one on computer and submit it here in the state, as well as the no more private sale. So you cannot just sell a gun to your buddy with a receipt. Bullshit, but it happened. Dave, what's the procedure after a family member passes away for firearm inheritance or transfer? Number one, if you have a will that explicitly provides ownership for each individual firearm, it's not an issue. You just take the firearm. In an immediate family, a gun can be passed down without having to do an FFL transfer. Firearms in the United States, if they are not NFA, are not supposed to be tracked. They are not registered. If a cop pulls you over with a gun, the only thing running the serial number will do is tell them if it's stolen, wanted in the commission of a crime, or clear. There's no way of knowing who actually owns that firearm. So as long as you have an agreement with your family on who gets the firearms, or you have a document saying who gets the firearms, those people can just take the firearms. If you want to do an FFL transfer, just so you have a receipt showing that you transferred it into your name or somebody else's name, 100% go for it. But yeah, in terms of inheritance, it's the same thing as being gifted. That's crazy. If you buy two within 5 days from the same shop, it flags the ATF. But I thought you guys had better rules. Just kidding. One day I bought 17 guns at 3 different stores. Instant approval. Villager 11, can you travel to a state with private transfers and bring it back to Virginia? No, because you're the Virginia resident. If I go up into West Virginia, I cannot do a private sale with somebody from West Virginia. They have to bring the firearm to the state of Virginia in order to do an FFL transfer through a FFL dealer. They can send it in using their local FFL dealer, but no, you can't just bring a handgun back, and you can't cross state lines to do a purchase, because technically you cannot buy a handgun. For this example, we're talking handguns. You cannot buy a handgun in another state without proper documentation. For example, if somebody from Pennsylvania or even West Virginia, I'm very close to the West Virginia border. If somebody comes into my shop and they want to buy a handgun, but they live on the other side of the border, I can't even sell them one. So you cannot buy a handgun out of state and bring it back. Yes, anything, but be cleanish. Don't be a dick. You get timed out if you do. California for personal is 1 per 30 starting in 2025. Well, yeah, I see the key is the same shop, but like I said, I bought 17 from 3 shops in one day. That averages out to 5.5. It was really weird. We had to cut one up. Currently is 5 free unlimited per fee. I think I'm reading your words. Currently it's 5 personal transfer fee year. Okay. Yeah, I get that, but your thing says currently it's 5 PPT fee year unlimited per PPT. Is that per year? So you can't sell it to them and ship it to their FFL. You can sell somebody a firearm, but you have to go to an FFL and have your local FFL ship it to their local FFL, because you can't just put a gun in the mail. There are laws. U.S. Postal Service has cracked down on their laws. In fact, a lot of pirate ship won't even use U.S. Postal Service or FedEx in some places. But yeah, you would have to. You can go to like your local FFL where you want to send it from, right? He can pay you, and then you can pay to have it shipped to his FFL. But you cannot just take private money and just drop a gun in the mail. That is not allowed, because the receiving FFL has to have an FFL number from the place it's coming from. Right. Yeah. DB, they can buy but got to ship to an FFL. Yes. Like I said, you can go, like if I want to go look at guns in Pennsylvania, not a problem. I can go to a buddy's house, look at his guns, tell him, hey, look, I want that 1911, I want that, and I want that. And then he could ship them to mine. Even if I was buying a rifle, unfortunately, it would have to be shipped to an FFL because we don't allow any personal private transfers. Meh, laws. Yeah, everybody says that until they can't have guns anymore. There's a proper way to do it. Obviously, you want to get in touch with your local municipalities if you want to have some sort of a gathering that constitutes a rally of some sort. Get as many people as you can to sign petitions with like senators and congressmen and all that stuff, and then you can eventually change laws. You can't do it by just being disobedient, as much fun as that is. There's 2 gun shops that I would actually name out, but I can't link them or anything. One would be Liberty Arms in Harrisonburg, Virginia, and Middletown Firearms in Middletown, Virginia. Those are the 2 that I have the biggest relationships with. You can ship to yourself, though. How do you ship to yourself? And honestly, I'm curious, is it a Florida thing? Here, you can't do that. You can only ship non-serialized parts to yourself. If it's serialized, it has to go through an FFL. Even if it was a repair, it has to go through an FFL. However bad your gun laws get, at least you're not British. My dad has a Smith & Wesson 357 Magnum, 686 in the 90s. Now switchblades are illegal here because they're firearms. Yeah, I follow a couple of airsofters over there in Great Britain. Andy's AAR on air, and he talks about the laws a lot. And I research a lot of the laws. Yet amazingly, there are still murders in Great Britain. But yeah, I've heard that if you use a firearm in defense of your home in Great Britain, even if you just have one for sporting, such as a shotgun that you have and you're going to take to a shooting event, but you use it to defend your home, I heard you can be charged with murder, which is like insane. And then, yeah, even a knife, a switchblade, if you defend your home and you had the ability to flee, you can be charged. Actually, the state of Virginia does not have a castle doctrine. If you have the ability to flee, you're required to flee. Villager, that's true. So I was right. Cool. Well, he was right. I'm just repeating it correctly. Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty crazy how some countries, even Canada, our northern special relatives, with their complete destruction of firearm ownership, it's insane to watch. There's still plenty of violence, murders, death. There are more accidents due to alcohol than there are firearms every year. More accidents attributed to vehicles, more accidents attributed to cigarettes, yet we don't go after any of those with the same fervor, even though secondhand smoke has been proven to kill. We don't prosecute anybody because you can't prove who started it. Cars, we kill. A guy can drive through a parade because he's drunk off his ass and he gets vehicular homicide, and nobody cares about stricter automotive control laws for those that drink. And I see dozens of people every day that shouldn't have driver's license. DB, if you live in Florida, you can ship your firearm to your hotel and pick a state, your name on label, hotel must sign for it and hold it unopened, of course. In Minecraft. What hotel? Yeah, but what you're doing is you are, unfortunately, that is questionable in its legality. You can mail anything to anybody, and unless for some reason they happen to open your package, you could technically ship whatever you wanted. Hey, Snafu, what's up, man? No, what he's discussing, what he's talking about is the same thing as if you just do a private transfer and don't tell anybody. You're running the risk that you're going to get caught. So, again, if somebody opens that package at the hotel that you're mentioning, you will get in trouble. Well, if we had less trucks, the truck wouldn't have made it through the crowd. Legal shotgun owners can't even get slugs here. They're technically legal, but you need an enhanced license where you justify why you need the slug. Hunting deer with a shotgun is illegal, so it gets denied. So what would qualify under an enhanced license for that? Because is there any like gigantic game in Great Britain that you could hunt with a slug? Again, curious because I don't know. I mean, obviously, I'm sure you have larger animals, moose and stuff like that, or an equivalent of a moose. But that would be insane. Move to a free state. You're in Mississippi. We have constitutional carry, open concealed, castle doctrine. You are not required to retreat here. Yes, but then I would have to live in Mississippi. Just kidding. I don't want to live in Mississippi though. Just got to have FL Senate. All right, I'm going to read to you directly from U.S. Law Shield because this is stuff I've never read before. Let's see here. Actually, I just lost the paragraph. Where'd it go? Here it goes. According to the ATF, any person may ship a firearm to himself or herself in the care of another person in the state where he or she intends to hunt or engage in any lawful activity. The package should be addressed to the owner of the firearm in the care of the out-of-state resident. So there you go. Okay, well that's according to U.S. Law Shield. So I'm I'm just reading what's going on there. Modern firearms should generally be shipped to an FFL when shipping from one non-licensee to another non-licensee within the same state. There may be exceptions. A non-licensee may not transfer a firearm to a non-licensed resident of another state. A non-licensee may mail a shotgun or rifle to a resident of their own state or to a licensee in any state, so an FFL. Be aware some states have laws in place requiring all transfers to go through an FFL. Virginia is one of them. It's also important to note that a person may only transfer a firearm to an individual who they don't have knowledge or have reasonable cause to believe that the person is prohibited from possessing firearms. There's an exception regarding transferred firearms between unlicensed residents of a different state if the transfer is a non-resident who inherits a firearm under a will. Okay, so yeah, nice and convoluted. Bum, bum, bum. That's crazy. Well, I still don't recommend doing it, but you can. Werewolves, they're wolves. They're wolves. We need to go through background check to purchase armor in current comic form. Yeah, because you were already doing it for ammo. Sorry, I tried to change it to ammo. Let's see. If anyone opens mail not addressed to them is breaking a federal law. Yeah, that's true. But if the package is damaged and a gun falls out, you also run the risk of somebody stealing your gun. You would love it other than the 100% humidity during the summer and the snakes and the skeeters. No, I wouldn't. I lived in Texas for a while, and then I have friends that live in Mississippi, and no, I'm fine in Virginia, man. I'm cool. You do you. Miss Pippi for the win. Stand your ground. Yes, that's it. You got it. Yeah, stand your ground does not apply here in Virginia. I don't believe it does. Although that guy shot the idiot in the mall in Chantilly. But again, it all depends on, because stand your ground is very dicey when it comes to prosecutions. TFB TV did a great video on it. I love plugging all these guys. I should really just beg them to let me talk for them. But stand your ground laws are harder because you have to prove that there's an imminent threat to your person from the other person, that maybe they're bigger than you or they're whacked out on drugs, things like that, before you can really get that to be a solid case. Like the guy in Chantilly over here, I think it was Chantilly or Sterling or Dulles Town Mall. He was being harassed by that moron who kept pushing up on him and stuff, and then shot him with a small caliber handgun. He got acquitted on stand your ground, but it's very hard to do. Virginia is nice. I was there in the Navy for a bit. I've actually only lived here since 2011. I was an Army brat. We traveled around a lot. I spent 20 years in Minnesota, grew up in upstate New York. Well, technically upstate New York. It was kind of in the middle of upstate New York. I lived in Schenectady until I was 11. Then I lived in Killeen. Then I lived in Minneapolis. And then we went to Germany. Then we came back. So I've kind of lived all over the place, but I have relatives that live all over. And I don't care. I would just jump in a car and drive halfway across the country because I was bored. So I like traveling. What I miss? Something about it's not gay. Okay. Roy K. P322 cannot be sold in Connecticut because we can't have threaded barrels on handguns. All the FFLs have to weld a cap on the end, making field stripping almost impossible and voiding warranties. Red Loctite? No, red Loctite can be removed. So, let's see. Although the factory small barrel, can't they just weld that one on, or are they required to weld on an extension piece? Because the factory slim one is designed so that you can take the top off the 322 without having to unthread the barrel cap. Or do they put like a big one on there that's obviously welded on? Red Loctite won't do it. No, because you can take red Loctite. It takes a lot of heat and it can damage it, but you can get red Loctited items off. I've done it. I've beat I go back through my shorts where I accidentally red Loctited a 1911 together. I was able to get it completely apart and fine. So anything that is an adhesive, I don't know if it will count because it can be removed. It enables it to be removed a lot easier than a weld. Like if you had a 14.5-inch AR-15, you would weld your muzzle brake to it. You can't red Loctite it. I never went underway. I was a combat engineer. We never touched ships. Is that what you guys are calling them nowadays, ships? I'm an Army brat, so I'm going to throw some shade on the Navy. Although my grandfather was in the Navy. My uncle was in the Navy. One of my uncles was an Indian, and the other one was a cop. Let's see. Dang, you basically Canadian me? Oh, bud, you're not talking about me there, are you? Sorry if you are. But that's not me. I go out all the time. It's not that cold here. I've never had to go get my own honey. Maple syrup. I was thinking about Winnie the Pooh. Mixed all of them up. It happens. How do you buy a gun at cost? I buy guns at cost because I helped start a company with my buddy. So he lets me buy guns at cost. I have other friends that sell me guns at extreme discounts because I'm willing to take guns they've had for a while. And then I have just friends, contacts, sources. Go to your local gun monger and hang out and make friends with the guys. They'll give you good deals. I was getting good deals at Middletown before I even worked there. But yeah, when I helped him set up his gun store, that was part of it. I was given access to guns at cost. Otherwise, you have to start your own FFL. It's not as hard as it sounds, but the ATF won't approve them as readily as they used to. But that's the other way you get guns at cost. Those dreaded mean threaded barrels, bayonet lugs, and pistol grip. What's funny is a suppressor. There's no suppressor in here, but my box is up here because the suppressor is on a gun. Suppressors are considered a firearm accessory, but they don't want you to be able to put them on the gun. Yes, it's a short that I did. So I was down at Liberty Arms, and we had gotten this Citadel 9mm 1911 in on trade. It was filthy, so I did a full disassembly, and when I went to reassemble it, I grabbed a little unmarked tube of red liquid because it was near the lube, and I assumed it was like, I use a red, oops, excuse me, you'll be fine. But I use stuff I can't find, yeah, so. Most of my guns I use Wilson Combat light oil or extreme lubes, and I thought I was using a sample of it, and I red Loctited the entire gun, including the internals on the trigger and the hammer and the sear and the disconnector, and then I red Loctited the whole slide on it, and it absorbed no problem into the metal until about, the work time of red Loctite's like 70 seconds or something like that, and then it finally locked open, and I wound up beating it apart. I got it apart, thank God, but I had to put a lot of heat to it. Yeah, it was not fun. Roy K. You need that cap to hold the recoil spring on. Yes, but the factory cap that the 322 comes with allows you to take the top off. So we'll just do this. So the factory P322, when it comes to you in the box, does not have the threaded barrel adapter on it. It just has a threaded section internally that will allow you to add the threaded barrel adapter because it's not 1/2x28. You can see right there. That will allow you to take the top off without having to take off the end cap there, which is what I was asking. Why don't they just weld that cap on? Then you can still disassemble a firearm. When it has the threaded barrel on, yes, that one protrudes out the end of the slide, but not the other way. Yeah, that's right. We're doing it the really bad way. Just turn the camera. Nobody will notice. Yeah. No, that wasn't CPU thermal paste underneath my keyboard. Get a little bit of air going. It's all good. I started in the Army and then laterally swapped to the Navy. The Navy. I'm just messing with you. I respect all our servicemen and women. I just don't respect the clowns that send them out. Ships targets are on a surface, subs are boats. In the Army, you just learned how to get things more deadered. What's the general markup on new guns? It can be big box stores on the shelf will mark up guns. Like some of the ones in our area will mark up the guns 25 to 30%. Some stores will mark them up as little as 15%, 17%, and it can vary also depending on the gun, because some guns like Glocks are sold under what's called MAP pricing, which is minimum asking price. They have to have a certain price on the tag on the shelf, and that is set by Glock. Kel-Tec does that with a bunch of their guns. So does CZ, where you have to ask a certain price. You're not allowed to just sell for whatever you want. So those guns are typically well over the standard markup. Typically, though, like I said, a little mom and pop shop or smaller shops are going to be anywhere from 15 to 18%, which is not much when you consider a $400 gun. You're paying $60 over cost, which is not terrible, because you're also not paying the shipping. The store is paying the shipping cost. So keep that in mind. Villager, should I marry your girl and become an American? Isn't it a longer process than that? But yeah, you should. At the end of the day, as many things as we restrict or try to restrict from our citizens, we have the best living situation in the world. We don't get jailed because of our opinions. We have the right to argue with each other, although not on the internet, because people will cancel other people. But in general, I mean, all respect to Great Britain, even though we did give you the big L back in 1776. But yeah, I would say that if you have the ability to become an American citizen, there's nothing wrong with it. And as long as you're a productive member of my society, I'm all for it. I don't give a crap where you come from. Just don't be a douche. Note, don't keep Loctite by lube. In any situation where lube is, you can screen share. I thought you were techie. What about alphabet people? Well, I can screen share, except I'm doing this on my phone. I need to I have an HD capture and I have all this crap, but I got rid of all my good cameras back when I thought I was just going to be doing one take. So I'm looking at some cameras. I might even just do a damn webcam. Super long process. What? Setting up for live stream? I've done it before. It's not that hard. What's worse, PC gaming culture or gun culture? Gun culture. Gun culture is by far way worse in terms of the number of people who will just talk out of the side of their mouths without knowing what the hell they're talking about. PC gamers will love or hate a game, hate a console, hate an item. Like I run Intel and NVIDIA right now. So there may be some guy that's sitting there on his AMD AM5 7950X running in a 7950 XT and saying, oh, my rig is better than yours in every conceivable way, except for my 12900K is faster. Some will say, oh, water cooling versus air cooling's better, water cooling's better. But no, but when you get into the guns with people, you have so many people that take everything they've learned from movies, television, and what they read in the newspaper and try to spout it as if they know what they're talking about. I'm a dumbass on a lot of things, but at least I'm willing to take the time to learn it. Like with the whole shipping things to yourself. That's interesting. I didn't know that. But just the sheer number of motards that come onto my shorts videos because they're not the same people that watch long forms. And if you only watch the shorts, great, I love you, but don't leave comments because you're not getting everything in context. You can't get across in a 1-minute video what I do in a 24-minute video. Sorry if you got offended. Don't get offended, Karens. I'll move you in a little closer. This is a weird angle, but I just wanted to be up looking down because last time I was down looking up, and the other day you were over there. So Moist Critical doesn't change his background. Why should I? Villager, thank you. I'd like to think if I were a douchebag waster, she'd decline to marry me, so you won't have to worry. She's a great girl. Glad to hear it. And the fact that she's willing to go shooting with you, that's awesome too. So, yeah, man, absolutely. Why would I deny anybody something that I've experienced for 44 years? Like I said, if you're a douchebag, you need to go away, but that's typically a self-solving problem. No getting U.S. No, but it allows him to be here long enough to do all the U.S. citizenship stuff. Use M Pro 9 CLP. What's a good product in your opinion? I love my Wilson stuff. I use Slip. I've got some Frog Spit. Typically, whatever works. As long as you don't use anything that becomes corrosive or that has beeswax in it, because internally it can gum up if you don't use a firearm over time. But yeah, I would just say any good oil. I've even used engine oil to lube up an AR-15 because I forgot my lube at home and I was shooting a dry rifle. So I literally just pulled the oil off my dipstick and put it into my gun. So if it's lube, it's lube. Even WD-40 can be used as lube. Unlike those idiots that tried making a short saying that it's not a lubricant while pointing to the word lubricant on the can. Assault weapons, full semi-auto. Did you win a prize? No, but you used a lot of key buzzwords. I'll give you a prize if you tell me if you can tell me what AR stands for. In fact, she took me to Green Top shooting lanes in Richmond on Couples Day, half off lane rental fee. That's pretty cool. Is Green Top the new name of it? I thought it used to be Elite, but that might be the one off of 29. Not American Rifle. Close. Should stand for America, but it doesn't. Mark, you are correct. Armalite Rifle. KY Jelly. Dude, anything in the short term is better than just dry docking your gun. Actually, I worked on a guy's Automag 3, which was really cool because I got to shoot it too, which is the 30 carbine Automag, which has shot up in price for some reason. $3,000. Holy shit. He had the original slide and then a secondary slide, and I had to service the gun and polish out the internals of his slide because the metal was actually galling because he didn't use any lubrication and shot it. So I had to go in there and lightly remove the galling off the stainless steel inside of the slide. That thing was a fireball. It's on the channel too. You should be a member. I keep throwing that out there. The one opposite Bass Pro Shops. Yeah, I've never actually been down there. I just know there were a few gun ranges and gun shops got bought up this last year by local police agencies. In fact, that's why Middletown had to buy new land, because they were the curators of some land where the police would train, and eventually the police just wound up buying the land, which is fine. Absolutely, give them more places to train so they don't have, numb nut discharges. But yeah. Oh yeah, back to this real quick. There it is. There it is. 1991 R32 Skyline GTST, two-door coupe, manual transmission, rear-wheel drive only, but it is the coupe, or coupe, with the manual transmission in the RB25, I think. No, it's the RB20, so it's the four-cylinder. I want the RB25. Personnel working at gun shops get good discounts. Yes, if it's a mom and pop shop. Now there's like Sportsman's Warehouse, Cabela's, things like those. I don't know about those, but like where we were able to buy new guns if we paid cash at a very reduced price. Used guns, we got very reduced price. You were limited to the number of handguns or rifles or whatever you wanted to buy that you could buy per month at the discount. But yes, typically, especially if it's a mom and pop operation, when you're there 6 days a week, open to close, and you're getting paid crap money, that you should be entitled to some benefits, and I firmly believe on that. Now, some things, obviously, it's harder to give big discounts on, ammunition, some supplies, things where the markup isn't much. Like at our stores, we were selling 9mm for 49 cents over cost. So we weren't making shit, so we never gave discounts to each other because you're paying 49 cents over cost. So yeah, and that's when it's on sale, not always. But yeah. How much for a full service and polish job? The gun too. I don't do work for others. I only do work for myself. And for the stores, I'm not sure what their rates are. I know that a full service and polish and cleanup at Middletown is like 125 plus materials. Liberty is about the same. So if you want things like you want the trigger lightened, you want springs changed, you want finished, redone, all those will add cost. As for you, buddy, it's Florida. I'm sure you can get the polish job pretty inexpensive down there. But no, I am going to be getting an sorry, my brain is stopping. An 0702 license next year, so I can do suppressor transfers as well as manufacturing. Mainly because I just want to build a bunch of machine guns. Dave, if a 226 Extreme is $12.99, well, let's see what their what cost is. Well, they're MSRP'd at $12.99, but I can tell you cost on one is $10.50, but they're on closeout. They're not manufacturing them anymore, so you can't do that. But yeah, if you're talking there, that's what, a $250 markup. But again, there's no guarantee you're going to be able to get the discounted price. You can't just walk into a store, start working, and automatically get discounts. I knew the owner of Middletown for 7 years before I worked for him, and again, I helped set up the other gun store. And when my buddy gets another store set up, I'm helping him set up that store. So you got to earn your discounts. It was a joke. Happy evening too. Yeah, I know it was a joke. That's why I said you should be able to find somebody in Florida to polish you off. Real good. Real nice. I don't know why, but for some reason, my brain is telling me every single one of you is in Seattle right now. And I don't know why. I know Villager keeps on telling me that his girl took him to Richmond to shoot, but for some reason, I think she's in Seattle. One of those days. I just had a slide cut on my 320. Right now the cut is bare stainless. Cheapest ways to paint it, or do you even have to? You should protect it for sure. Definitely make sure to at least get oil on it, to help protect the surface of it. I would recommend seeing if somebody can do like a cold Cerakote, even if it's just a cold Cerakote to fill the bare metal pieces. That would be fine. You can even cold Cerakote at home, but I would suggest having it done because even if it doesn't rust, the material can still corrode from your oils, from your body, from your holster, things like that. So if you're going to be storing it dry in a safe, just oil the snot out of it so it's got a little extra coating of oil on it and it will last for a long time. But I would suggest getting it recoated by somebody somewhere, somehow. Villager, what is the first task you give to a new shop employee to gauge their ability and knowledge with guns? I'll tell him what gun I want him to show me and then wait for him to bring it to me and show it to me as if I was a customer, because there is a proper procedure at a gun store when you give a customer a gun. So I'll walk into the store, and it's all role playing, obviously, and I'll say, hey, I want to check out a Glock 17. Can I please check one out? And then I'll wait for them to either take me over to the correct case where it is to see if they have customer engagement, and then I will go with them, or I will wait for them to bring the gun to me, and then we will wait and see how they clear and show me the firearm before they hand it to me, or if they just hand me a gun that they haven't checked. So there are different things like that. We started doing a thing at Middletown where we were putting snap caps in some of the guns to see if people were clearing them every time they showed them. So if you racked a gun and a snap cap came out, that meant you were doing your job, and then you had to put it into another random firearm. So that's what we would do there. But yeah, that's the first thing I would do. And then I would ask them some typical questions. I'm not going to ask somebody stupid pedantic questions on their first day, but I'm going to ask them generalized questions. Can you explain to me a pre-cock striker, or can you explain to me the difference between a single action and a double action trigger? Little things. I'm not going to force somebody to know everything right away because most people don't. I didn't. but there are ways to start working through somebody's knowledge base, and I have had to fire people before. Only the Extreme was discontinued, Dave. They're focusing on the Legion and the let's see, the Extreme is being killed. Oh, never mind. Sorry, that's just the California one is being clearanced. Yeah. Sorry to you people in California. You're not going to get the 226 anymore. But they have the 226 Night Sight California on closeout. But the standard one's still there. Yeah. But yeah, they have also, they're going to stop with the AXG series because they came out with the AXG Legion. So if you want a 320 AXG Legion or AXG Pro, you need to get one now. Thank you for your website and live shows. Thank you, Roy. Thank you for coming, my man. Rattle can Cryline. Honestly, it would protect it if you don't give a shit. Or if it's a flat color and you can just paint it with a can, it's not going to hurt it, and it would protect it better than nothing. The armories in Central Florida. Central Florida has Cerakoting. There you go. We had a kid at the shop looking for 45 minutes. Ask him the crap. I usually ask for a catalytic defibrillator cap. Oh yeah, being in the car business, man, you run into just as many people that don't know nothing about cars as, like, I had a guy that was working for me one day. We had a Jeep with the not the 5.9, the 5.2. And if you know those, the alternators on top in the middle. And this guy comes in, he's like, "Hey man, I can't get this thing to start. I keep hitting it, and the starter won't turn." So we walk out and we grab the jump box and we go to the Jeep and we're going to try to jump start it, and we hook up the battery, and he starts smacking the alternator. Smart. Had another kid that was working for me, kept insisting that a 1988 Chevy Camaro IROC Z had an LT1 in it. Those of you that know the LT1 versus the tune port will know the difference. I think I just gave it away. Yay! I won a tripod. I can hear my headphone ding when I win stuff. Never a SIG fan, too tall, odd looking. Some of them are. I mean, if you like a PDP, then you have to like a SIG. Ooh. Yeah, I'm getting some graphical glitching. I plugged in a 20 or 19-year-old graphics card, like one of the first PCIe graphics cards ever, into that extension into my motherboard, and it shorted out the whole computer. And ever since then, I think it killed one of the lanes on my PCI lane. So if I leave it, I get graphical issues, but not in games, only on YouTube. Of course, that could be a YouTube thing too. I don't do no stinking updates. 305 and 350 were both available as tune ports, although you will never see, you can't call the tune port in a Camaro or Corvette engine because it's got steel heads or cast iron heads versus aluminum heads. It's the same reason you can't say that a Chevy Impala SS has a Corvette engine, because it doesn't. It has cast iron heads, not aluminum. Where do you see if a certain firearm is being discontinued? You can usually just Google it. I have access to distributor websites. That's where I'm typically looking at them, and it would say closeout or clearance. But typically you can Google a certain model, or the best way and simplest way is go to any manufacturer's website, and if the gun isn't listed on their website anymore, that means it's either being discontinued or reconfigured. For a while, at the end of 2022, the only guns on CZ USA's website were P10s and CZ Shadow 2s. There were no PO1s, PO7s, nothing. There were only P10s and Shadow 2s. Yeah, I had a bunch of IROCs. My first sporty cars were IROCs. In 1 year, I think I had 8 IROCs and 2 Firebirds because I worked at a dealership. My boss eventually caught on to me, though, because I would... Hey, look at that. Somebody's asking me if I'm feeling better because I forgot to turn on Do Not Disturb. Hang on a second. But yeah, I backed into a car in our parking lot, I have no idea what I just did. Boom, boom, boom. There it is. Do not disturb. There we go. Anyway, so I backed into a car with an IROC, so my boss made me buy the car, and then I did it like 4 more times in 1 year. All right, so we're going on 110 minutes, so lots of CZ closeups. Yes, because I think they're going to come out with mostly optics cut versions of all their lineup. That's why they dropped the price on the P10s quite a bit, and now the ones on their website are all optics cut. So I think they're going to do that with the DWX for Dan Wesson for next year, as well as or later this year, as well as the Shadow 2s are now available with optics cut. So I think they're going to do that with a lot of their models, depending on which ones they keep and which ones they kill. So, what are we at? Almost 2 hours. We're going to go to 2 hours today. We went 4 hours on New Year's Eve. That was way too long. Yeah. Somebody out there, tell me a funny story. Tell me a story about you at work or something. I want to hear what your day's like. But yeah, no, in terms of the other side, other channel, the tech side, I'm working on it. I have so much stuff laying around here that I really want to film, but I hate editing. And I'd rather do it at my office, but my foot has been bothering me, so, or my stump, otherwise. No, I can't get it in the frame. So, anyways, my stump has been bothering me. So, yeah, I'm actually getting a little wobbly. I think I'm going to have to end the live stream here in a few minutes. So, anyways, leave me something. Tell me something. Say something. Do something. Start something. Pretend we're all jumper cables. Just don't cross the streams. I am planning on going out to the range next week. I should have done it yesterday, but I overslept like a lazy daisy because I wasn't feeling that great. I have to be careful because one of my parents has COVID, so I have to make sure that nothing is going wrong. 12-hour marathon, not yet, man. 12-hour marathon is a future goal, but for me to be on for 12 hours, I probably want to do it from my office so I have total peace and quiet as well as more stuff laying around. Here, the only real angle I want to show you guys is over here by my computer because I have personal things that other people don't need to see. So, where's the hot sauce? There's the hot sauce. Yeah. So. Oh, shit. No, it's fine. Don't worry about it. It's cool. This is called professionalism. Yeah. So, anyways, Villager, don't know if that's a funny, but a lady in Fredericksburg once asked me if I was Australian based on your very English accent. Bless her heart. That's usually the people that don't travel much. I'd really like to bust out a bad accent right now, but I'm not going to out of respect for your people. I know this is not British either, but you could tell her it was. This penguin brings his car into a shop. Polar bear puts it on a lift. I really want to hear the punchline. Speaking of jumper cables, what about people saying you shouldn't jump a car off the way my... Modern batteries are much more resilient to just going cable, 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 cable. However, many newer vehicles, like my Durango, even though it has direct access to the battery, does have jump points. So I would use the manufactured suggested way of jump starting a car, but if you're in a situation where you're stranded and you need to jump a car, just effing send it. And especially if it's an older battery that's been dying a lot, what's the worst that's going to happen? It's already screwed. But yes, there is the potential when you directly put in juice. Now, there's another meta that's out there where they say if you're going to jump start a car that you should shut off the car that was charging the car at first. Again, is it real or not? In an emergent situation, do what you got to do. If you're not in a hurry, do it the way the manufacturer says. Technically, the Scottish accent is British and Scotland is part of Great Britain. There we go. I'm so glad. It's hard because I can do an Irish accent, but I always slip into Scottish. And I know I really shouldn't be trying to do accents, but oh, it's so fun at the gun store. Every now and then I'd ask them if they want me to help an entire group in a different accent. So then I'd break it out and we'd be talking the whole time. It was wonderful. But here, if I was to call people, you can always just slip into a country thing. because you just droll out your words. Tell the penguin to come back in 30 minutes. Penguin takes a walk, hot summer day, grabs an ice cream cone, walks back to the shop. Boy, I think I'm gonna get let down here. I'm on tins and pedals. Yeah, one thing that I did a lot when I sold cars was I tended to slip into whatever accent the customer had. And being in Virginia, we had a large mix. I had a very, very, very good customer that was Scottish, and it was always hard not to slip into that. But usually I'd slip into a southern drawl a lot when talking to customers, because a lot of my customers, they'd just be talking like this. And then all of a sudden you're just having an entire conversation. And then by the time you're done, you're talking about how you and them family members back there, you guys got to come and get into the truck. We'll all go for a ride down there. We'll go up on there around the way, and we come on back, and then I'll be selling you a car. By the time I'm done selling them a car, I'm talking just like them. I was a very successful salesman. Polar Bear says it looks like you blew a seal. Penguin wipes his mouth and says, no, it's ice cream. Much better finish than I expected, son. As a half English, half Welsh, you can print this comment out as my permission to imitate an English or Welsh accent whenever you want. Woohoo! I got my Anglo pass. What's also funny is I like to introduce a little playful Asian racism into the shop, because I'm very tall, and most people don't realize, because a lot of times my hat's way down, so they don't really realize I'm Asian until they're looking at me and seeing that I can see in 180-degree field of vision because of how squinty and wide my eyes are. But yeah, I love that. I always like to say you people, and whenever they say, what do you mean you people? White people. Because technically, I'm Asian American. Because I have a certificate of birth abroad. I was born in Korea, and my mother is the Korean, not my father. So the person that actually carried me the entire time was full Korean. Yeah, so I have a certificate saying I was born somewhere else. I'm like a phone. Although my warranty expired a long time ago. Although I've been tried to be returned multiple times. Yeah. So, all right, guys. 2 hours. That's pretty good. I need to stop. I'm starting to like really tremble, and I don't know why. Low blood sugar, I think. All I've been doing is drinking water today. So thank you guys for coming along for another stream. Come back for the next one. I just like sitting around shooting the shit. If you guys get any fun out of it. 5'4". I'm not Markiplier, son. Hold on. I was going to show you my license. I was about to dox myself to prove to you how tall I am. Oh, that would have went bad. Absolutely, Villager. Thank you so much for coming along. No, dude, I'm 6 foot something or other. I'm a couple half feet shyer than I used to be, but yeah, no, I'm 6'3.5", 6'4". My neck keeps on compressing, so I'm shrinking. But yeah, I'm 6'4". I'm taller than Ellen Richardson. All right, everybody get out of here. Go home. Get some sleep. Have a good night. Talk to you on the next one. Let me know what you buy, DB. And then, yeah, come back for another one. I'm going to push a button here, say I'll talk to you later, and then you have to endure me for 5 more seconds. Here we go. Bye.